President Trump and China's President Xi are navigating a tense standoff over trade between their two countries. Earlier this week, President Trump posted on Truth Social that Xi is extremely hard to make a deal with. Joining us now, Wendy Cutler, Vice President of the Asia Society Policy Institute. She's former acting Deputy U.S. Trade Representative, and all the anecdotal evidence we hear, Wendy, is that both sides are digging in and even more than in the past, and that a lot of it now comes down to enforcement and actually, monitoring compliance with things. But is it this simple, Wendy? China's mad now because of the student visas and because we're not sending them AI chips, I guess. And the United States is mad because China wants to use our money and our technology to take over the world. I mean, aren't we the good guys in this? Why does the left so frequently celebrate when it looks like Trump is like these are feckless efforts against China? And they almost cheer that we're not getting anywhere.
Well, look, negotiating with China and making breakthroughs has always been difficult. Even if you reach agreement with China, and that was done just 3 or so weeks ago in Geneva between Secretary Bessent and his Chinese counterparts, we've already seen there's an impasse in implementation of this agreement, particularly with respect to China's agreement to lift its restrictions on critical metals and minerals to the U.S. market. And until that happens, we can't even begin the negotiations that were envisioned in the Geneva talks with a 90-day clock ticking. So this dispute is escalating, and, hopefully we will find a way to de-escalate and get back to the negotiating table. But this does not bode well for de-escalating right. U.S.-China relations.
But Wendy, by definition, will China ever do anything that would really hurt or stall its efforts at, what do you characterize China's eventual goal? Is it in any way benevolent for the entire world, or is it all about China? You know what I mean? I just view their eventual goals as being antithetical to our eventual goals. So why do we expect to get anywhere with this country that wants to supplant us as the leader of the globe?
Well, again, look, they have ambitious goals to dominate in many industries. That said, they're very interconnected with the rest of the world. They need our markets. They need some of our inputs. And we still have over $600 billion of two-way trade. What's interesting this time around, our dispute with them right now is not about tariffs. China lifted the tariffs it agreed to a few weeks ago. This is all about critical minerals, where China dominates 70 to 90% of this market. And what's also interesting, it's not just the U.S. complaining about critical mineral access now. We're also seeing our European, Indian, and other countries complain as well, because we are all way too dependent on China in this sector. And it's not a sector where we can build our competitiveness overnight.
Wow. So do we have an ability to squeeze China in a way where they feel it in squeezing them? Is there any way we're squeezing ourselves, and we're squeezing ourselves because it's going to come back and hurt us too. So it doesn't seem like we have a lot of great options.
Well, exactly. But China faces those same obstacles as well. And I believe at the end of the day that they do want to de-escalate with the United States. But right now, they feel that time is on their side in this whole, trade dispute with the United States. They think that the U.S. is under much more pressure than China. It is a, higher threshold for pain. Right. It can take domestic measures to boost its economy, and it's well positioned to wait.
And his people can stand a lot of pain, and he knows that. So it's just that's something we can't do here because we don't have that option because we actually have elections. So the whole thing, it's almost like the deck is kind of stacked against us, it seems like. Although there's some things we have in our favor too, because they got a lot of people they're trying to bring out of into What's the GDP now there, Wendy? Is it even 10,000 a year versus 60 here? I don't even think
it's around there. It is, it is increased in recent years, but they still have 1.4 billion people.
Yeah.
And, their economy is facing challenges. So we're kind of in a game of chicken right now.
Right.
And, we'll see if the two leaders get on the phone as President Trump keeps, urging.